So I've been using crowdfunding as a product validation tool for a while now. And every time I bring it up to another business owner, I get the same kind of reaction. They kind of tilt their head and say, like Kickstarter for gadgets and board games. And I get it. It has a reputation. That reaction is exactly why it keeps working so well for businesses that understand what it does. While everyone else is out there spending 6 months behind the scenes building a product, locking in suppliers, ordering inventory, and then crossing their fingers that the market actually wants it, you get to run a campaign, put actual promises in front of people with a price attached, and find out whether people actually open their wallets for it before you even commit to paying suppliers or getting that inventory. I've seen this work on physical products, on software, on creative products. Every time, the businesses that use it correctly come out on the other side way better informed, way better positioned, and with a customer base that has already bought something before you even shipped your product. It's not fundraising, it's a competitive advantage. Here's what I mean by this exactly. Reward-based crowdfunding, the kind on Kickstarter or Indiegogo, gives you something that almost no other launch tool can offer. You put your product promise in front of strangers with a real price attached before you have scaled production or locked in those cost structures. The people who back it are not just filling out a survey about what they might want to buy, they are opening their wallets, which is the signal that you need to scale a business, a willingness to buy. Most businesses that I talk to follow the same playbook when they launch something new. The idea gets some internal buy-in, the product gets built to a spec, and that spec made sense in the boardroom, and then it goes to the market. Customer feedback shows up last, after the inventory is ordered, after the brand story is locked in, after the supplier contracts are signed. By the time real people tell you what they actually think, the decisions that are hardest to reverse have already been made. If you're new to the channel, my name is Alex Dalton. My company Adlius helps Canadian companies take what they already offer in the market and make it easier to buy, harder to ignore, and faster to sell. This channel exists to give you the same advice that consultants charge thousands of dollars for, so that you're equipped to build your business with confidence. When we reach 1,000 subscribers, we unlock live free consulting on this channel. So if you want that, make sure you like, subscribe, so we can reach that goal together. Now let's get into it. You might not realize this part until you've actually run a campaign yourself. A crowdfunding campaign is a continuous feed of customer intelligence that you would normally pay a research firm serious money for. And your customers are the one funding this exercise while you run your campaign. How great is that? The part that gets overlooked most is what happens before the campaign even opens. Let me share a story. Les Stroud, Survivor Man, a Canadian legend, used his YouTube channel to talk about the question of Bigfoot long before he launched the Kickstarter.
Back in 2014, I began work on a 10-part documentary series on the subject of Bigfoot. My new documentary film, The Question of Bigfoot, will attempt to answer the skeptics' burning question. Are they real or are they not? I can't do this without you. So take a look at all of the rewards within this Kickstarter campaign and help me to produce The Question of Bigfoot.
He told his audience what was coming. That led to comments, watched how they responded, and he built a wait list. By the time the campaign went live, he already knew that demand was going to be real. He already had emails. He understood what the audience wanted from the project. And he already had social proof building in the public. If you are sitting on a product idea right now, the smartest thing you can do is start talking about it before you've built anything. Treat every comment, every question, every email sign up as a signal that tells you whether your promise is landing before you have spent a single dollar on implementation. Once the campaign opens, you get a different kind of intelligence. And this one is really about your messaging before your product. Watch what people ask in the comments. Watch what confuses them. See what they are excited about enough to share with someone else. If the same question keeps coming up, your positioning is not answering it clearly enough. If people are sharing the campaign page unprompted, you've hit something that resonates beyond your existing audience. This is your last window to learn before the customer makes their final decision. So pay attention to every signal that comes in the comment section that those people are giving you. Then someone pledges, and this is the moment that matters the most in the entire sequence, because a pledge is not a survey response or a social media like. It's a person parting with their cold, hard-earned cash for a product that doesn't exist yet, with no guarantee that it's going to arrive or be exactly as it's described. That's a level of commitment that tells you something that no focus group ever could, that your customer believed in the promise enough to act on it before the proof was actually in their hands. The post-campaign phase is where the intelligence gets extrapolated. When you run your backer surveys, so collecting variant preferences, color choices, feature configurations, you get it. You're not just fulfilling those pledges. Instead, you're building a data set. So if 80% of your backers chose one color over the other three, that's a signal that you can take directly to the mass market production planning, and you're not guessing about what the market wants anymore. You have a real data set in front of you. That information would normally take you a ton of time to gather as orders trickle in organically in your e-commerce store, for example. And this came as a part of your project with your backers. The second thing that happens post-campaign is just as valuable, and most businesses miss it entirely. Not everyone who followed your pre-launch or signed up to your waiting list or followed your campaign chose to pledge. That doesn't mean they weren't interested in the product. Some people are just very risk averse. They don't want to outlay money on something that might not be real. But now that it is real, now that it is funded, now that people have validated with their wallets, you have a second window to go back to that audience and convert them. Those people already know who you are. They've already expressed interest, and the biggest barrier they had to buying is now completely wiped out. These are 6 questions every product launch has to answer honestly on the customer side. Is this solving a real problem or just a nice to have that people will pass on when money gets tight? Do customers understand what it does and why it matters to them without you having to explain it? Would someone buy this twice because they loved it enough to buy one for someone else, or because the product runs out and they need more? On the business side, can you deliver it at the cost and quality you promised, at the volume that the demand requires? Will people actually pay for it and the price it needs to be to make sense as a business? Can you reach customers outside of the early adopter crowd? Those 6 questions represent the 6 ways a product can fall apart. And the standard launch sequence answers the business side questions first. Companies figure out manufacturing, delivery economics, all before they have genuinely confirmed that enough people understand what they're trying to sell, want it, and will keep coming back for it. Crowdfunding forces you to answer all of the customer side questions before you're locked into anything. You find out whether the promise lands before the production run happens, before the warehouse is full, and before the ads are running to an audience that was never going to convert anyway. Flipping those from business side to customer side is where the advantage lies. Here's what it comes down to. Every business I have ever seen struggle with a product launch wasn't struggling because the product was bad or the team wasn't working hard enough. They were struggling because they went looking for an answer after they had built something. They built it first, they spent first, and they launched first, and then they asked what the market wanted. Crowdfunding flips that sequence entirely. You put out a promise into the world before the production run happens, before the warehouse is full, before the ad spend is committed, and you get to collect real signals from real people using the oldest and most honest form of market research that exists, watching what someone does when you ask them to open their wallet. The pre-launch builds your audience and surfaces early adopters. The campaign confirms whether demand is real. The post-campaign tells you exactly what to build and gives you a second shot at everyone who was watching but waiting. Most of your competitors are not doing this. That is the only reason it still feels like a cheat code. If this was useful, like and subscribe. Cheers.